How we doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Getting Jiggly With It. I'm Will, and today we're doing something a little bit new on the channel. So I put up a poll to see whether or not enough people would be interested in seeing a basic overview of how to paint a miniature for tabletop games, so that way you can get them table ready, get them out, make them look a little bit better than usually the gray, pink, purple, whatever color the plastic is that you get. Of course, I do. I did play, or I'm guess it's depend when I upload this video, but I am going to be playing the Transformers deck building game, or I've already played it, depending which order these go up, as I mentioned. And I bought a couple minis from WizKids, which will work pretty well. They're very simple. If you look on the back of their actual I don't know, guide here, it's only got a handful of colors. They say all you need is black, dark blue, light blue, yellow, red, and light gray. And you can paint the entire mini. So I feel like this is a good introductory mini, a nice simple mini that'll be easy to paint. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and flip over to the other camera, and that way I can go over a couple of the items that I use to paint, that me and Audrey, I shouldn't say I guess, me and Audrey use to paint our minis. You've seen a couple of them in our past videos. We don't go for like over the top quality that you see with, you know, Miniac and Goobertown, a lot of the big time painters, because that's what they do. For us, we just want them to look good enough for the table, and take a little bit of time and effort to get it done. I'll tell you, on average, our minis, I think we get about a mini done every hour and a half to 2 hours. With two of us, that means we are cutting that time in half, so about an hour a mini, but it's still, each one of us takes that long to paint a mini. If I remember, I'll let you guys know how long it takes to paint this mini at the end of the video. But like I said, let me go ahead and switch over that camera real quick. All right, so you can see here, this is the Optimus Prime mini we're going to be painting. This is going to be fun for me because I've never painted through a device. So it's going to be a little bit different for me to paint through there. So we'll see how that works. The first thing you'll notice is what's sitting in front of me, and that is a wet palette. So when you start painting, and if you're going to take it a little bit more seriously, you're going to want to buy a wet palette. This one I got off of Amazon. It is the Stay Wet palette, Mastersons. It's a good one. It works. It does what it needs to do. It's got a sponge. It's got these little reusable sheets, as you can tell. Mine's got some paint stains on it already. As long as I can get most of the paint off, and it's still like I can squishy and get the water through, it's perfectly fine. But this allows you to keep your paint wet a little bit longer, as well as allows you to mix or dilute the paint with water a little bit better. The second thing, of course, are your brushes. We are not using fancy brushes. I don't even know if we can see the name on this brush. But it's just, again, a simple set of brushes that we got off of Amazon. It was like 15 bucks. It comes with all of these brushes. And if you're just getting started, this is a perfect place. This actually came with a set. I think this came with our Vallejo set, which is the next thing I'll go over. But you don't need fancy brushes just to start off, but you don't want to go with really cheap brushes. And what I mean by really cheap brushes are like a pack like this. These brushes we have for different things. We use them for like when we're spreading glue, or if we're doing rough basing, or anything where we're just trying to slap paint or random things, right? Not something where we're trying to actually be a little bit more precise with. We use those brushes. Otherwise, we're using, you know, these here, and they work pretty good. And then the paints that we're using is the WizKids premium paints. These are done by Vallejo, so it kind of goes hand in hand, right? We're going to paint a WizKid mini. There is a basic set here that, let's see if I can get this into the frame here. So this is a basic starter set that we picked up. Of course, all of the stuff, you know, we got on Amazon. We'll have links down below so you can purchase it. But it comes with a very good mix of different paints, every color you can imagine. And the thing is, you don't need a lot of colors unless you don't know how to mix. And there's a lot of books out there that will actually show you, we'll put this color with this color and it'll make it more like this color. So you can always find ways. But we've had no problem mixing every color we want using this set. And I'll probably be doing a little bit of mixing today, just because I think some of the colors, like the dark red and the light red, I don't like either one of these two shades for Optimus. And I'm probably going to do like a 50-50 mix. Same with the blue, the dark blue and the light blue. I don't know how light I want to get it, but it also comes with some washes, a couple metallics. We did have to buy some metallics. So we did buy a gold from the Army Painter, right? And then we bought a silver as well, or plate mail is what they call it, plate mail metal. And the reason for that is the WizKids set came with gunmetal, and the gunmetal is slightly, there we go, gunmetal is slightly darker than the plate metal, and then it comes with we didn't know it came with glorious gold, so we bought that by accident. So just gives us an extra paint to do more with. Otherwise, I mean, a cup of water, just make sure you're not going to drink out of it. And then the last thing, and probably one of the things we didn't get originally, and we actually kind of had two brushes that were probably about to be damaged, is you do want to get you some kind of brush cleaner. And what this is you make your brush wet, you know, smear it around and kind of twist. And what that allows it does is it pulls. It really does. The first time we got this, we thought it was like this magic thing, and it was like it was pulling the ink out of the ferrule, which is this, you know, the metal part here. And you can see here how once you're done, you can sculpt it back into more of a point. That way your brushes keep their points a little bit longer. With that said, let's go ahead and I guess we'll get the first thing. So when you want to paint your mini, you want to start with the lowest level. So for Optimus, his lowest level is his metal parts here, right? And then you build up off of that. Something you want to do, and what I'm doing now, I've got them up here above me, are references. So of course, I've got the box from the deck builder game, and then I also have another reference here. I'm using my cell phone, otherwise normally I would just, you know, pull up a reference there. Some games, like for example, Sea of Thieves, the cards happen to still be in the paint box because we've still got some to paint. You can use the art that comes with the game, right? You can just use that as your color palette. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is, like I said, the first thing we want to do is get the undercoat. Oh, and I didn't even mention this little thing. This, you can buy actual handles, but these were little containers that came with our Home Chef meals when we used to do Home Chef. And this right here, this tack it comes in a big pack, and it's the tack that you would use to like stick things to a wall so it doesn't peel off. It hardens up a little bit, but then all you got to do is just kind of make it a little bit more malleable, kind of warm it up, and then it sticks fine, and you'll be pretty much good to go. So the first thing we want to do is, some people say you shouldn't put your metallics on the wet palette. Me and Audrey have always done it, so I'm not going to not do it. So let me go ahead and shake this up, and then we will get to painting. Okay, so as you can see here, we are basically going to put the gunmetal on all of the parts that we can see in the different images that I've got to look at. And you basically just, you put it on and go at it. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do it. You want to make sure that it's thin enough to where you're not putting it on too thick to where you lose some detail. And if you get on a spot that you don't want it to be on, no big deal. You know, we've got more paint that we're going to have to paint. And you can just cover that back up with the next color that you have to do. So we can see here, this is what we're going to do. So we're just going to put this here. The different locations that I'm going to do gunmetal, of course, is his mask, his legs. In the WizKids example, these are blue. But if I look at like the examples of the Transformers deck building game, they're actually silver on that. So I think I'm going to try the silver, see how that looks. And if I don't like the look, I can just always paint over top of it. Now, it isn't holding his foot very well. Normally, I have a full grip because it's the entire base. When you're painting a mini, you get the whole base. So normally, I'm just going to hold on to this one leg. It'll just mean that when I'm doing the blue, I'll have to like wait for the one leg to dry, so that way I can switch to the other side. So I'll go ahead and do this, and then I will be back once I guess I'm done with the gunmetal for you guys. And I'll show you the next step. Okay, guys, so we are back. Let's see if we can get this to make sure it focuses. So basically what I did was the his legs, right? And I did his hands. Now his hands also have this extra piece here, this textured piece. So I'm going to paint that blue. And then I did his exhaust pipes. Those may get a little bit of paint on them, but you can always touch up, right? You can always go back. And I normally, with like most of the gunmetal, I do a second coat anyway, so I usually do that as that final touch up. Same thing here. I don't know why I went ahead and painted that little piece. I guess just as a reminder that I want that to be metal instead of blue, which the rest of his helmet's going to be blue, right? And then same thing, I got these on the legs just to see how those look. The difference is on the example from the deck builder game, of course, it's more modern, right? So he's got those joints, and this one being a little bit the older style, it may not work as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and mix up the red, and I think I'm going to do the blue last just because of the two legs. Although it might be better because I have to switch legs to do blue. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to do blue and then red. Like I said, I don't think I want to use, so I've got two blues here. Magic blue is very bright. And then the other one is just regular heavy blue. Now, the colors will change after you put them on a model. We've been meaning to like paint on the top just to see. So I think what I might do, I might put the heavy blue on just to see how it looks. And then if I don't like it, I can always lighten it up a little bit, which also kind of will give you some artificial shadows, or not artificial shadows. Yeah, artificial shadows and highlights, because you get that little bit of lightness that you can just do off of your edging. So let me go ahead and shake this up. I'll get that out, and then I will show you how I'm going to paint the legs. Okay, so we got the blue. So basically the same thing. I'm using this bigger brush because I'm doing the basing. And then when I want to go back and I want to clean things up, then I'll get a little bit smaller brush specifically for that. But same thing, just go ahead and, put the paint on there. Let it get into your crevices, let it get into where it needs to be. If it's not going on smooth enough, then you may want to add a little bit of water. I've still, like me and Audrey still don't know the perfect ratio. Like this looks like it's going a little bit too thick. So I'll just add a little bit of water from my rinse cup and then lighten that up a little bit. And then, yeah, so there you go. You can see that's going on a little bit better. It is a little bit thinner, which means that you may have to go back over and do a second coat. But it's better, again, to put it on thin than too thick, which then is going to get rid of some of your details. So I'm going to go ahead and paint up the blue parts that I can. Of course, this leg is going to have to wait until after things dry because you don't want to touch things until they dry. So I will be back once that is completed. Okay, so we're back. So one thing I did realize I messed up here. This should be gunmetal or the silver as well. So this one I left undone, but this one I'm just going to have to paint over. I was able to get both legs done because, of course, I didn't paint the body, so I was able to hold on to the body to be able to get those painted. I didn't paint the windows blue because I've got two examples here. One is a darker window, kind of like they did here, where it's just a dark blue, because again, they want you to go simple. The other one that's on the box is more of a light blue. And I have this glacier blue that I think I want to try this and then do the highlight with, what do I got? I think it's wolf gray. Yeah, wolf gray. So I'm going to try that first. If that doesn't go glass enough for me, I might change it. So now we're going to go ahead and do the red. I think I'm going to do the same thing because the two reds I have that come in this set, one is Scarlet Blood. This is a very bright red. And then the other one is the heavy red. So I'm thinking this is too dark. We've used both, and that's the problem. Right? You kind of want to get a palette that you can tell what the colors are, because this isn't what it's going to look like. This is still wet color. I know we've used both, right? But I can never remember which is which. So I think I'm going to do the same thing. I think I'm going to go with the darker red first because I can always highlight it with the lighter red if I choose to. So let me go ahead and shake this up, and then I'll be back when I start doing the red paint. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the red. Now, one thing I did notice, and it doesn't matter if I do it now or later, his elbow joints are supposed to be silver as well, or the gunmetal, because that's what I'm using. So I'll do that after I do the arms, which isn't, like I said, no harm, no foul, because if I get some red on it, then I can just cover gunmetal or vice versa. So same verse as the first, right? You just go ahead and put your paint on. Try, especially on a model like this where you're wanting it to look like a finished paint job, you don't want to go back over a area that you've already gone over, because as the paint starts to dry, depending on how thick it is, of course, it's going to dry at different consistencies. And different paints dry differently as well. You may start leaving brush strokes, and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get this red painted up, and then as we were before, I'll be back once that's done. Okay, so there we go. So we got the red on the red parts. So a couple spots, of course, will need some touching up. I mean, that's normal. Whenever you're doing any miniature painting, you're going to have some touch up at the end that you're going to have to do. For example, down here on the gunmetal, got a little bit of red when I was doing the chest. But then some other areas, it's like, oh, I slid the brush just nicely. And that's key. You want to have, like I said, that perfect consistency. So that way when you're sliding the brush, it just goes right along the edge and you don't have as much bleed over. So with that, I'm going to go back through now, do the gunmetal that I missed to clean that up. And then I will go after the windows, I think, after. One other thing I'm going to do is his eyes, of course, glow. So to do that, I'm going to use some white, probably the wolf gray or the glacier, and we'll need a really fine brush. I'll just tap that in there. And then if I want to make it brighter, I have the magic blue. And if that doesn't do it, then there is also, I have this electric blue, which actually might be the better option. Electric, Autobots, makes sense. So let me go ahead and do the touch-ups on the gunmetal, and then I'll be back with the windshield, show you guys how to do the windshield. Okay, so we're back. So now we're going to go ahead and do the windshield. So like I said, what I did was I took the glacier blue. I'm going to put that on the inside, see how that looks, see if it comes out the color I want. And then we'll just do like and this is why having a reference is always helpful, right? Because it's easier to copy something than to, try to do it on your own. So this also is going to help for highlighting. So we know, okay, we're going to put our highlight here and here. So then when we highlight the red, we'll know we'll highlight the red there. You can see where the highlights are on the shoulders. You can kind of see where they are on the legs. So having references like these are very good for figuring out where, if you're going to put a highlight, you can put it. It's also nice. We have Starcadia Quest, and I want to do that in the anime comic style. So it's very nice to have those references because you basically can paint exactly how they drew it. It's a two-dimensional object in three-dimensional space. So it really depends what angle you're looking at it, right? So when most hobby painters do highlights and shadows, they're doing it off of a basis of a light being at a certain source. But when it's on the table, that light isn't necessarily going to be on that source. So that's just something to be, cognizant of, right? And it's one of the reasons me and Audrey really haven't done too much with highlights and shadows. Normally, when we do a highlight, we're just doing the fine edge of the highlight. Or really, we're just doing edge highlight. We're not doing like full, this is where the sun or the light's coming in, highlighting. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in here. This doesn't look like it's going to be blue enough, so I can tell that right off the bat just from putting that little bit in there. It's not going to be as blue as I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of the magic blue. Probably just one drop will do me. And then see if that makes it a little bit bluer. All right, so went ahead and did the little drop, so it's a very light blue now. You can see from my palette, it went splooge. It came out, the mix wasn't very good. But I just took a little bit, mixed it in there. And this is what I'm going to do in the windows. And then I'll go ahead and do the highlighting in the corners like I have in my reference photo. I was going to say reference photo. It's not a photo. My references. Okay, so we've got the windows done. So basically I just took that blue mixture and did both windows. And then I took the actual glacier blue instead of going all the way to the wolf gray. And then I just kind of put like a little highlight in the corners with like a little streaks across the window. Normally a lot of times you see that, like, I mean, that's just a common way to do windows, or at least give it that window effect. Again, look good, not professional, not the best, but I think that looks good that way. So the next thing we need to do are the lights. So he's got lights across the center here. Now in the classic one, they show all of that yellow. But in the new one, of course, they're just showing the actual 4 lights. So I think this is supposed to be a license plate. So I'm not going to paint that. I'm just going to do the 4 on the outside. Now, something I've found that actually helps is, for whatever reason, if you put this pale yellow down first, this seems to go on a little bit better. A lot of times your brown's going a little bit better than your yellows, but yellows are always hard. I'm afraid to paint Bumblebee right now. I'm half thinking I'm just going to go get some yellow primer and prime him yellow. And then I'll put the golden yellow on top of that. So using the one as a base, and then the other one will be the actual color. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the little detail brush this time because those are some tiny little spots and I don't want to really mess those up. And then after that, what I got? I got his gun, and then we've got to do some highlighting if you want. Now, again, I'll show you guys before I do the highlighting, and then I'll show you guys after I do the highlighting. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and knock that out. I'll knock the gun out while I'm at it, and then I'll be right back. All right, guys, so there we go. This is what I would call table ready, right? So we've completely covered him. He's got all the colors he needs to have to say that he is Optimus Prime, and he doesn't look half bad, right? So to get him to this tabletop state, it took me, it's showing an hour and a half, but that's including me rambling and different stuff. So it probably took me about an hour to get him to this state. Now, they do have some new speed paints. Contrast paints is what Citadel calls them, but I know that the Army painter is actually coming out with a line of speed paints as well. I don't know if Vallejo has one, but they can't be too far behind. And what those allow you to do is basically just paint very quickly, and it seeps in and gives you all your highlights and shadows. I've seen some, and I'm kind of got mixed feelings about them. But like I said, this is pretty much ready to go. So now all I'm going to do as a final step is I'm going to take those lighter blues and I'm just going to kind of do edge highlighting around the edges, like my examples that I'm using this whole time. And then the same thing with the red. I'm going to take a little bit lighter red just to do a little bit. And when you do it, you want to water it down a little bit more. That way you're not putting it on too thick. It's what they call glazing. That way you can do multiple coats until you get that little bit of color that you want to get that little bit of highlight. If you need to get a little bit brighter, of course, you could add a little bit of white, or even, in my case, I got this wolf gray to make it a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will be back with the final product. All right, guys, there we go. That is Optimus Prime. So the edge highlighting is subtle. I'm still new, so trying to get it like level by level. But as you can see, like as the light hits just on this side, right, I brightened up right around the windows up on the top there. Did each of the pretty much everything that would be from the light coming from this side, because of course that's where the reflection is there. So each of the edges have a slightly brighter red. Not sure if you guys can exactly see that, but the same thing in the back, right? This side's highlighted, and then this side, of course, is darker. And then did the same thing with the legs. Basically just added a little bit of highlight on the edges here, along the edge here, and then along the edge on the feet. Now, I am going to base him, so I do have a base. So let me get that real quick just to show you guys how that looks. And we'll call this a done figure. Okay, as you can see here, this is the basing. So it's very simple. All I did was took some Mod Podge glue and then took some high grit, like I don't know what they call it. It's terrain, like when you're making like a diorama, and did that. These are the spots for his feet, right? So once he goes in there, super glue him into place. And it's just something basic. I might throw some little turf in there, or not turf, some little grass tufts or something like that in it, just to give it a little bit more. Your other option is, the nice thing, these come separate, is I was able to find a seller on Etsy because I'm going to replace all my Starcadia bases. You could use those as well. I don't have enough for this and Starcadia both, so that's why I went ahead and decided to do a little something here. I did see somebody who did a post of a same thing. I think they did the sandpaper trick. So you take double-sided sticky sandpaper. I could paint this, I could color it, I could do other things to it. I think this is going to look good for its intended purpose. Maybe Bumblebee, I'll do something a little bit more daring. Okay, but there you go, guys. That is Optimus Prime. If you enjoyed this video, you like this little tutorial, again, it's my first one. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more tutorials of the different minis we paint, let us know as well. Me and Audrey can try to do some more. I'd like to do some live painting, but it's, would just be me painting with music in the background. Don't know if that would interest you guys. If it would, same thing. Leave comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I did wrong. Let me know what I could do better. Until next time, guys. Peace.